Hey guys, I wanted to run through some of my early spinning projects with you guys. Um, this is a bag of scraps, but it's not really scraps because a lot of these I just spun little amounts of at a time. And this is Peruvian wool. It's much easier to spin threads and stuff out of the coarser, crimpier stuff. You can spin very, 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 very fine with those. Um, so you can see that this thread is like super, like it is thread. I could probably sew with this. It's thread. This one is a little bit thicker, but it's still like a lace. See? And this is plied. These aren't singles. These are plied. I spun these when I was living with my friend Jeff. She is an amazing 60 years young woman who has just been an amazing force in my life. This is a single that I ended up never plying because I didn't too much like the colors. And like here you can see that they get very muddy brown, and I wrapped this ball very loosely so you can just kind of see the color repeats by spreading them like an eyeball almost. Arr. Anyway, super thin. This is my first Navajo ply because I didn't want to lose the color gradients out of this, but even after Navajo plying it, I was just like, didn't like it at all. I just didn't like it at all. This is one of my first dyed roving projects, and I just thought it was super gross. I just thought it looked super gross. So I Navajo plied it to keep the colors together because I knew it would look really gross if I just double plied it. So this was my first Navajo ply, and it's the only reason why I keep it. It's because, and also is kind of like a reminder, like, this is the shit you used to dye. You've come so fucking far, girl. Look at this shit. And then, look at this shit, and then like look at this shit, and then look at this shit, and like look at this shit. There's no comparison. I have come so far. So that's another reason why I keep it. And this is actually leftover from a hat I made for my sister. It was a beret, and whenever I was in Mobile last, you saw her wearing it. So I love it whenever people wear what I make them. It's so validating. It's so validating. Okay, so I think I put all of my balls back in here. Oh wait, no. Haha. I knew one was roaming away from me. So yeah. Honestly, having spun these thread looking, oh, actually I lost one. Where's the other thread? I'll find it later. After spinning the thread-like ones, I learned very quick. Oh, there it is. I learned very quickly. I was like, I don't think I want to spin thread. I don't think I want to spin something this thin on a drop spindle ever again in my life. Ever again in my life. So I haven't really spun anything that thin since, and that was years ago. I think that was the summer of 2016. Nope, it totally was the summer of 2016 was whenever I was living with her. Yes. I made and blended these Rolags for this one when I was living with Jeff in the summer of 2016, but I spun it in 2017. So I didn't do a lot of dyeing in the dorm rooms. Some of the dye jobs that, this was also, I dyed this and spun this in 2016 as well. This was my first ombre, and it looks like, because there's no tweeding going on, it looks like I dyed the yarn, the finished yarn. I dyed the roving. and I split it in half perfectly, which was super easy to do with Knit Picks Peruvian wool for me. So it actually came out really great. And if you really wanted to nitpick, oh my God, I just said nitpicks. Peruvian wool, of course I'm going to say nitpick instead of get picky. So, gosh, you can't even see it on this crappy camera. There is an ever so slight tweed right there. Ever so slight. A very, very, very slight tweed. And you'd have to be looking at it very, very hard to find that, that tweed. I dyed and blended the stuff for this at Jeff's house, but I didn't spin it again until around 2017. These I spun and dyed all at her house. All of these I spun and dyed at her house. Now, this one was like just a funsy, like fuchsia, pink, purple, blue with sparkles mix. These three were actually meant to look like sunset skies. So this one turned out great as a 2-ply. The blue, because it's blue on blue, so it turned out great with the 2-ply. This one is like cotton candy puke, circus puke, whatever, clown puke. It's pukey to me. Just because I don't like a whole lot of color, and I should have Navajo plied this. It's really what I should have done, but it actually works out great because these are baby colors. And I know someone with a baby coming soon. This one, I took my advice, I learned my lesson, and I Navajo plied it, and you can, let me turn it around to this side. You can see the color pattern repeats in the cake a little bit. So you've got the yellow, the pink, the blue, the yellow, the pink, the blue, yellow, the pink, the blue. Yeah. It's got a somewhat consistent color pattern, and I like this much more. I don't know what I'm going to knit out of this, but I think it'll be something cool. I'll make something cool. I always make something cool. Probably gloves or hats. These smaller works, these 50-gram skeins, make really, really great gloves and such. This one, I ended up spinning recently this year over Christmas break, but this is Peruvian wool with light sparkle and light amounts of recycled sari silk scraps. So, and I used a little bit of blue and a little bit of the green sari silk scraps. In fact, I just had a little bit of the green in there, so I threw it in here. But this is such a great little, like, mermaidy green color. Like, it's so great. It's very consistently spun. Considering that I came off of a hiatus when I spun this, I'm very pleased at how well I did. Again, this is Peruvian wool. So it's easier to spin it finer, and it's easier to spin it consistently. So, really digging it. Now this was, again, blended at Jeff's house because this is completely undyed. So I blended this at Jeff's house in 2016, and I didn't spin it until this Christmas break of 2018. So, super nice, super large. If you notice, I skeined this into a huge skein because I'm going to dye it. This is 420 yards of, I think it's a sport. It could be a little fingering. This is kind of an enigma right now. Can't decide what it's going to be. But I know that the silk with the merino is going to make this extremely warm, so I probably am going to knit this as a sport and not as a fingering, because I think if I knit it as a fingering, it might be a bit too hot. You know what I mean? I also have some really fun dyeing ideas for this, and I will need periwinkle. I love the color periwinkle. And I was looking through the Jacquard acid dye catalog, like color catalog, and just kind of like, I was actually looking for a pink because I wanted to make mauve. As you can see, I really like the dusty pastels. Mauve. Periwinkle. Um, lavender gray. So I'm gonna go and find some periwinkle acid dye now, later. For this purpose. I also want to try speckling for the first time. So I'm pretty confident that it's not that hard. Give it a shot. And if I fuck it up, it'll be okay. Be totally okay. But yeah, very, very, very proud of this one because this one was huge. This one took me forever to spin. And then whenever I put it on this Swift and I counted the loops and everything, I was like, this is 420 yards. This is the biggest skein to date I have ever spun on drop spindles. Ever. So, anyway, I won't bore y'all any longer. I will just show y'all a few more things. This, every time I've tried to purposefully do thick and thin chunky, it's come out so great and luxurious and bouncy. This one is merino. It's got this nice give. This one is Peruvian wool, and it has no give in it, and it's actually way softer than I thought it would be. I don't know about, next to my skin, this one is clearly softer, but this one doesn't feel not soft. It's not soft. I don't know. Still deciding what to do with this yarn. That's why I'm rubbing it on my face like this. So I'm like, talk to me. Tell me what you want to be. Anyway. My alpaca. And I decided I'm actually going to Navajo fly this. So the color patterning from these Rolegs was extremely inconsistent. I know it was extremely inconsistent because I just spun it. So I'm actually going to Navajo ply it because I like, whenever I really like the way something looks as a single, but it needs to be plied for what I want to do with it, I Navajo ply it. It's the only way to keep the colors consistent because there have been too many times, hello Pukey, where I have double plied something and wish to God I had Navajo plied it. But it's too late, you know? It's too late to undo it and Navajo ply it once you've double plied it. So, and I will say, as much as I really enjoyed, I was very proud of the dye job that went into this one. I overspun it. I overspun the single and I overspun the ply, and it doesn't have the bounce of this one. I'm squeezing this one and this one is like, and I'm squeezing this one and it's like, I don't know. Don't know about it. I spun, and did a scarf with this, and it was just too dense and too hard. So whatever I do with this is going to be thinking about making slippers, like a rubber sole, or maybe I'll get some acrylic yarn and do a sole out of acrylic or something like that. Slippers, perhaps. This isn't really... I just loved this yarn so much. I wanted it to be so perfect, but whenever you overspin something, and see, like this one wasn't overspun. This one was great. This one isn't overspun. Even though it's Navajo plied, it's not overspun, which, never mind, I won't get into that. You know, and like I'm touching all of my other ones. They're great. And then I come back and I touch this one and I'm like, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? Yeah, I mean, even my Peruvian wool feels better than my merino overspun. So don't overspin. You're going to lose a lot of what makes it luxurious. You're going to lose a lot of those properties. So I just wanted to kind of run through some of my handspuns with you guys, kind of like, also like a catalog of like, I made Rolex for this forever ago and I finally spun it. I dyed this yarn forever ago and I spun it up and I just wasn't really sure if it was going to turn out great, and it turned out fine, wonderful. You know, um, things happen. And it's an adventure, and I just wanted to share kind of, and there are some things that I've knitted with my hand spun yarn, so you didn't get to see them in ball forms. This isn't everything I have spun in the last few years. I don't think I did hardly any spinning in 2018. I really don't think I did, except for December, as we were turning over into 2019. I spun in December, and I don't think I spun at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, and I don't think I spun at all during 2018. That was a super long hiatus for me, at least, considering like what you saw before you. All right, well, I hope that you can learn from my mistakes. I hope that this was an interesting vlog piece for you guys, and that it was entertaining, if nothing else. Bye-bye. Happy crafting.